Do one final segment with our friend Mr. Tom Corson. This last segment, I think, talks about there's a new kind of yardstick developing out there in the world today to decide whether you've got some buzz going, that mysterious buzz, and for people like myself and record labels to see if you're making any impact. So in this third segment for today of our show today, Tom's going to be talking about the new metrics and how you keep score in this new digital world that we're in here. So take it away. I was at the office of a gentleman who works at one of the other companies in the business. Young guy, 35, 36 years old, high-ranking guy. I'll go into his office for a meeting, and on his wall were a couple flat panel screens, right? Nowhere in sight was BDS, reports. Now, he had Edge rankings, he had Google Analytics, he had YouTube views, he had all of these different numbers coming at him. To help him decide what was going on. How much time do you spend now with those new metrics? And more importantly, what stock do you put in things like YouTube views, Facebook followers, Twitter followers, Edge rankings, and all of that?
It's the modern. It is what we look at every day, every minute of every day. And one of the key analytics is, it really isn't. We've learned the hard way. It really isn't number of followers. It's the engagement, right? Because you can have an artist with a lot of followers on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and those entities in themselves morph in terms of what makes up their user base. But what you want to do is talking about. What's the engagement? You want to take real quick snapshots when you have content that goes out, likes and dislikes. You have to evaluate the haters versus the lovers, and whether that's just some people who, because certain artists have a particularly large percentage of haters because for whatever reason, but it seems to actually help in a way. They're polarizing, and sometimes the most polarizing artists are the most productive. And so you have to know your artist, you have to know your audience, you have to know what metrics you're reading and how. And then we have a service called NBS, which we've partnered with, which created a dashboard for us but it's ever evolving, And so when you boil it down, I'm just waiting for that one coefficient, that one or two coefficients that pop out of that regression, so that we can go, okay, bam,
sign them.
Yeah.
So talk about that MBS dashboard. What do you have on your dashboard? Because I think I want one.
Yeah, I think we all want one. And every label is working on their own version of this. But NBS is Next Big Sound, right? That's the guys out of Colorado.
I actually have that. I just didn't know the acronym.
Yeah, exactly. And so but it's got everything you can imagine and more, and it's constantly morphing based on any kind of new service or new metric that comes up. So when data comes up, you put it up there, and you just sort of are able to cross and kind of trend things and lay them over each other. And it's got BDS and SoundScan, and it's got YouTube views, and it's got engagements and talking about and all that stuff, and it's got everything from Facebook and Twitter trending and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's the good old-fashioned feedback from retail and radio is pretty reliable.
So we talk about all these digital yardsticks and new barometers that we get out there. How is the digital marketing mix playing in your overall marketing mix? In the old days, we put an ad in the trades, we put an ad here, we'd run a spots. It was all pretty off the checklist, tried and true. How are you guys using all of those new tools of the trade, as I like to say?
Look, you customize your marketing mix to the artist, so it depends. I mean, we have the benefit of RCA of working with established artists and working with brand new artists, and some are very digitally, and you can tell by your sales blend. So if you're 80-20 digital to physical, or if you're 20-80 in reverse, you customize. So where I might avoid print ads on most of our artists, or even TV ads on some of them, it's appropriate for Whitney Houston's greatest hits. It's appropriate for Kelly Clarkson's greatest hits. But at the same time with Kelly, she's still a young artist. She's still very viable. we've got to make sure that our blend and our advertising blend is very strong online. And so we'll wrap some sites, and we'll do some search that's very targeted that way. So it just depends, and like they say about all advertising or marketing, the nice part about the digital world though is you really do get feedback, because you can see where people are clicking on and not. You can trend it against your other your other artists, and if you have a service, and there's a guy we use, Gupta Media, they'll tell us how it reflects off of some of their other clients' engagements and clicks. And so we know more than we ever have.
I think that's for me, that's one of the great givebacks. While the digital world has kind of upset a lot of things, one of the great givebacks from my perspective is this instant feedback, for better or worse. You don't need to do a focus group anymore. You can put the right thing on somebody's Facebook page and bang, it's gone. So you get instant feedback. People today, because they have the ability, they will tell you how they think you're doing, whether it's good or bad. And so that instant feedback, I think, is great stuff. At the macro level, again, if I can go macro, what does it cost roughly today to do the full-blown, big-time marketing campaign in today's world, with limited budgets, with the YouTube, not YouTube, but MTV being marginalized and so forth? What's it cost now to play at the A level?
If you're talking superstar launch and you're rolling it out, and remember, when you're talking marketing, you're talking everything from videos to radio promotion. The cost of moving artists around, their glam, which is styling and whatever, cost of their entourage, and those are sort of the big ticket items as you go through, advertising, etc. It's $1 million. It's $1 million, and $1 million plus. If you're really going hard, you can add 50 or 60% to that. And that's just one phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the launch is the most expensive phase, and then you just try to manage as you go through different phases, which are usually related.